Sports for Real with Coach Hall. This is college football reviews and previews for Week 11. Well, the big story is the University of Michigan's football coach, Jim Harbaugh, has been suspended for the rest of the regular season. If you've been under the sports rock lately, then you would know that Michigan is being accused of stealing signals from the opponents, and this has been going on for years, they say. Well, one of his assistants, the main person involved in this, was caught on the sidelines of a football game where he really had no business being there. And that guy was caught red-handed. So since then, Big Ten schools have been wondering what the Big Ten commissioner was going to do about Michigan and these cheating allegations. Well, finally, the Big Ten commissioner came out yesterday and suspended Harbaugh for the rest of the season. Not that he's not within his right to do that, but he waited until yesterday when Michigan is getting ready to play one of the biggest games of the year when they take on Penn State today. But Harbaugh can't be on the sideline. They could have waited until Monday to tell this man that. And secondly, the suspensions that they're putting on this man is for the rest of the regular season. So if Michigan goes through and get to a bowl game or the college football playoffs, then Harbaugh is still eligible. So you tell me, what is the point? Harbaugh seems to have burned all his bridges in college football, and it seems like everybody wants to get rid of him. But no problem. Harbaugh was a successful NFL coach with the 49ers. He's been successful in turning around that Michigan program, and everybody is trying to get Jim Harbaugh back on the sidelines in the NFL. So if it was me, I would come back to college football just to stick it in the eye. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to pack up his bags and go back to the NFL. What, he's approaching 60, so it don't matter. He might have 4 or 5 years left in him anyway, so he's not really concerned one way or the other. The other coach that I want to talk about is Billy Napier of Florida. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that he had to win certain games or to be at a certain level before the fans started to turn on him. He's lost a couple of close games. He lost last week at Arkansas when they missed a field goal to win it in regulation and lost it in overtime. But the fans, those are some very arrogant and very, entitled fans over there, and they feel like they should be at the top of the heap every year. Of course, we know that is not the case, and we know that history is not full of undefeated seasons. Well, they had a couple nice runs under Spurrier, and Urban Meyer had some nice runs, but if you rewind it all the way back and look at the entire history of Florida, they might just be above 500. And the only reason I would put them there is because they've beaten a lot of weak sisters of the poor just to bring in revenue for the fans. Well, not revenue for the fans, but a easy victory for the fan base and make a little money on the side. That's all they really cared about to me over there at University of Florida, and you could tell just by the way they've been scheduling over the years. But should they be better than what they are? Yes, they should, but this is only this man's second year. He hadn't quite fully got his program off the ground yet. And remember, this is the same kind of grumbling that they had going on in Florida State with Mike Norvell. Look at Mike Norvell now. Who would you have now if you didn't have Norvell? You'd be starting over again. So I think some of these grumblers from the fans and fan base and alumni, they need to allow some time for these coaches to get things going instead of every time you get a victory you think you should have gotten and want to throw them out. All you're doing is really setting your program backwards. So that's something that needs to be considered. And finally, Deion Sanders. Everybody was toasting Deion Sanders as the darling of college football, and he was getting all this attention, and a lot of people want to see exactly what they're seeing now. Deion is now 4-5, and they lost several games in a row, and they're in danger of not qualifying for a bowl. They're going to have to win 2 of their next 3 games to qualify for a bowl. It's a tall order, but remember, I told you guys before, this man is playing chess while you all are playing checkers. He's going to come back next year. He's going to go through the portal, and he's going to come up with some players to patch all the holes that he has now. He's going to get a better offensive line. He's going to have a better defensive line, and he's going to review his coaches and replace them to get better fits there. So there's no need to panic if you're a Buffalo, but all these people poking the spear in his eye right now, Let's see what you look like when it come back next year. Now, if he's at this point next year and he's 4-5, then I think it might be time to look at something else, especially since that'll be the last year eligibility for his sons, and Travis Hunter will be going to the NFL after next season, so there wouldn't be any reason for him to stay anyway. So either way, Deion's going to win. Colorado program, they were not a top-tier program. You couldn't expect them to be at the top of the heap this year anyway, despite all the hype. So Deion, I think, is still on track, and Colorado is going to be a force to be dealt with in the following year. Now, one comment about that. A couple weeks ago, what's his name? I forget the guy's name, the fat boy, always talking negative on certain kind of programs. He came out and he pretty much ripped Sanders and the fans that are following him, saying that we were wrong for trying to hope for this guy to win the game. Then he called out the hit that Shiloh had that got him kicked out of the game. He's saying, well, why are you complaining when you playing dirty football? Well, anybody that's played football before tried to come in on the tackle, he hit the man on the shoulder. And just so happened it was some incidental contact with the helmet. Last I checked, that's what the helmets are for. Anytime you have incidental contact, it's supposed to ward off any potential damage. But the weak sisters of the poor now all want you to stay away from the head, no helmet contact at all. Any vicious looking hit, oh, that must be a penalty. But when you slow the game, the film down, you will see that a lot of these hits these guys that get kicked out of the game for aren't that bad. Some of the things that go on under the pile, those are the ones that need to be investigated. But if I hit you on the shoulder and your whiplash causes you to braze up against my helmet, that's not on me. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the rules. But, you know, you guys are making a big deal out of everything. A good hit is a good hit. I don't care if it was 50 years ago, 50 years from now, or today. It's all going to be the same thing. So anyway, back to the point. Deion, he's going to get this team on track. And I think they will win again this year. It's going to be tough sledding, but they have an opportunity. But they're not really that bad. They just got to get their offensive woes fixed. And if they can do that, they're going to be okay. So as far as picks go, I think that I think Michigan, despite all the turmoil taking place since yesterday, is going to not even matter because Penn State has a way of blowing games that they really need to win. So I expect Michigan to knock off Penn State. Florida, I didn't say it, but they're going into LSU. They're going to give LSU some trouble, but I think LSU is eventually going to pull away in that game and make Napier's seat hotter. Sanders, he's got to keep playing, but he's got an opportunity. But I think the biggest game today that nobody's really talking about is Georgia and Ole Miss. And if Ole Miss gets it rolling, they have a chance to go into Athens and knock off the Bulldogs. Am I calling it? Yes, I'm calling Ole Miss to knock off Georgia. Why? Georgia's playing good football, but they ain't what they used to be. This is Sports for Real.